Hello there, and welcome to Dharma Science Radio. My name is Ian, and today we're talking about energy, work, and plugging in.
And you see, the joke for me has always been this relationship between the generator and the projector. Because you see, the generator is the great worker. I mean, they have to work. They have to work in the sense that if they don't physically use their energy, they're not going to be healthy. So it's very important for them that they work. But often because they are so, I'm speaking of the not-self generator, because they're so enslaved into that process that they really don't know how to live. Projectors are born with, I don't want to work ever. You know, you're a projector baby, you come out of the womb, you look at your mother and say, I am never going to work. Don't ask me. Don't tell me. I don't want to work. Okay? I just want to learn. You know, I'll grow up watching. You know, but don't make me work. You know, and of course they have to work because their parents want them to be manifestors. And they hate it. There isn't a projector alive, not self-projector, that likes what they do. Oh, I have to work. Oh, shit. I have to work. There must be a way around this. Where can I plug in? You know? How can I get away from this? I don't want to work. I want to plug into somebody who will work for me. Okay? Let me plug in. What a sad life that can be. Because it leads to dependency. It leads to abuse. It leads to blackmail. It leads to all kinds of pain. It's not the point. See, the more the potential in any human being, the more difficult the journey. I mean, projectors aren't given a hierarchical position. It's a possibility. It's a potential, like anything else. And it has to be earned in a different way. It has to be earned through the mastery of the world. That's what you're here for. That if you don't master it, if you don't understand how human beings work, if you don't understand how to operate correctly, you don't get any of that, and you certainly don't get the success that you're here to have. Where that energy business is not the issue. Where you are not wandering around with a plug, but people with sockets are coming to you. Here, plug in here, please. Well, I don't know. Maybe.
So that right there was a key transformation that Ra had just shared. In the not-self, the projector is seeking to deal with the fact that they are generally a non-energy type. By finding energy to plug in with, and then to depend upon and rely on that energy. You see, in the not-self, the sacral that doesn't know when enough is simply looking for more. And it's going to find that more from the other. And if it doesn't get that more from the other, it will do whatever it takes to get it, because it does not know when enough is enough. And so the transformation Ra shared. This is no longer seeking outside of yourself to plug in. This is no longer seeking to find on the outside what you cannot provide to yourself from within. This is recognizing life. This is recognizing awareness and how things actually function. And in doing so, the projector transforms their own awareness into something that others can notice, even at a distance. You can see the way that projector sits at the coffee shop, the way they read their book and drink their tea. Something about them screams, I'm an expert. Do you need help with this? And it brings the invitations in. It brings the recognition from others in from the depth of your own recognition. You see, as a projector, your ability to see becomes reflected back at you. And others want a piece of that. They want to taste the success that is inherent in your nature. And that can only happen if you're waiting for the invitation, if you're waiting for the recognition, if you're trusting your nature. And as a projector, if you do your studies, if you understand the system you're here to understand. As I've said before, not every projector will resonate 100% with human design and want to do that as their whole thing, and that's totally okay. Whatever system lights you up, whatever interests you, simply seek to understand it at the highest level possible, at the deepest level possible. From one cover to the other, you read the whole book, you understand the whole thing, and you could write your own version of it. And it only comes from waiting. It only comes from being yourself. It does not come from allowing the open center themes to dominate your life for the purpose of survival, as so many people would have you think is true. You see, so many people are running around being very busy, all about things that specifically don't matter, because if they're busy running around doing things that don't matter, they can A, avoid conflicts, and B, receive approval and validation from others that they're doing the right thing. Never mind the fact that they're abusing themselves for validation. They get the validation. And so the abuse seems like the work that needs to be done in order to receive the success that they so desperately desire, the success that they were born to receive. And yet when the mind is amplifying the nature of reality, one has lost sight of the actual fact of the matter. The mind is merely a reflection. It's not the truth. It's simply words, 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 you know? It's seeing outside, it's seeing within oneself, and it's making a communication based on that. That's all it does. It doesn't move the body. It's not responsible for movement or behavior or survival at all. The biological, chemical mechanisms for survival on the material plane, they have to do with the root center, the sacral center, the emotional center, and the ego center first and foremost, because these are the motors that physically move the body. And then with an awareness, it begins in the splenic center. The splenic center is the origin of all awareness that we know of, according to human design. Before the spleen evolved, there wasn't awareness. There were simply things happening. There were simply mechanisms at play. And then who knows how long ago the splenic center evolved into a mechanism and awareness began to occur on this planet. About 90,000 years ago, the ajna developed and conceptual awareness became a thing. This is what has dominated the world for almost forever. Because as soon as we started talking about things, we started remembering what happened in the past, we started projecting what might happen in the future, and we made up so many stories. And we started to confuse the map for the territory. You know, there's this old saying of never confuse the map for the territory. Because no matter how detailed a map you might make, it's not the same as actually walking through the jungle or the rainforest. You can't take a bite out of a map like you can an apple or a banana. And yet within our conceptual world, we have complicated things so much that we've lost sight of the simple fact of the matter that we are living biological organisms based on chemistry and physics. These are predictable patterns that we can measure and communicate. And when the mind starts to see those patterns for real, it starts to see that it can communicate those patterns. And the real blessing is when the mind starts to see that it is not in control of the patterns. Perhaps there is a stewardship, Perhaps there is a bit of guidance that can occur, and yet it's not control. Control itself comes from willpower, and free will. I personally do not believe in free will. I can believe in choice and decision making. However, I cannot believe in free will. For the will itself, of the heart, of the ego, is an energy center mechanic that we've mapped out in human design. Say for myself specifically, gate 21, this is the gate of control. This is biting through the hunter or the huntress. These are the people who go out there and collect the taxes. Because the 45, the emperor or the empress, the king or the queen, tells the 21, go gather the taxes, and I'll give you your share. And I don't have that 21. I'm not here for control. I have all 4 of my motors defined together without that control. My body has an autopilot, and I've learned to trust it. And the more I trust it, the more profound the experience of being alive becomes. Because no matter what my mind goes into, whatever kind of tangent it magnifies or amplifies or creates or whatever, I'm cared for. It's been years. It's been years. I've been in my human design experiment for almost 7 years now, and no matter what nonsense my mind comes up with, so far so good. And it's been so far so good, 1 year after another. So I've learned to not take my mind so seriously, because it uses any excuse it possibly can to compel my behavior. Because that was survival for 90,000 years of human evolution. And now life is not simply about survival. Life is about stepping into your own truth and living that. Without that, there is no survival. Of course, there can be some people. Ra said the not-self will be here until the very end. It's not like the mind is going away. And yet the importance of thriving in this life is essential. We are not here merely to survive. We are not here merely to work a job 9 to 5 until we retire and then die of old age. We are here to reflect consciousness in a unique way so that the totality itself can receive the blessing from your unique individual perspective. It is my belief that this world is suffering so much simply because the world is missing so many individual, differentiated perspectives. There are so many people who are simply keeping the gears turning of the old machine, day in, day out. They're not happy doing it, regardless of whatever type they have. Most of them are not happy. And so that's why I'm here talking about human design. I believe one person at a time we can wake up and begin to share our gifts with this world. And in doing so, we reduce the suffering that's happening on this planet, and we give the opportunity for people to step into a higher order of truth that is not only joyful, not only satisfying, not only successful, not only peaceful, it's also surprising. You see, we're so used to thinking we know everything. And yet it seems true that we can't actually know everything. It's not possible because of the nature of our biological, chemical, physical limitations. I can only understand what I'm here to understand, and you can only understand what you are here to understand. And this world is suffering because so many people do not understand what they're here to understand. They're dealing with what other people think they should know and do, and they've lost sight of their truth. And that person does not have to be you.
If you have enjoyed the show and would like to learn more about how all of this applies specifically to you, then kindly refer to the link in this video's description, Private Consultation. Here, we can dive into all of the details together in a recorded call. May your signature vibration of satisfaction, success, peace, and surprise find you in a good way.